All right, we should be live. You still in there, hot retarded chicks? Such a great name. Yeah, my first try here was abortive. It wasn't working very well, so I had to shut it down and start back up again. So I should be live now. If anybody's listening, let me know if you can hear me. If there's anybody out there, 1 second. Actually, I'm pretty terrible at this, actually. At this live streaming. I haven't done it enough, so I haven't really totally figured it out yet. Looks like I got one person on Rumble. Hello? How you doing? Okay, it looks like it's working. This is good. Okay, what are we talking about here? Well, I've already covered this in a previous video. But I want to belabor the point, because it's really irritating, and it's incredibly stupid. This here, what I have here, is a letter I was sent by YouTube. It says, YouTube removed your content. They removed my content? Why would they do that? I must have done something terrible. I must have told the truth. I must have just accurately reported on something. That's precisely what I did. I just accurately described an event, which apparently is no good. Apparently you're not allowed to do that. So I got in trouble for that. I got a strike and I got a video removed. What video was that? It was YouTube blasted for removing Trump podcast interview. So I was talking about YouTube being blasted for removing a Trump podcast interview. That was the Nelk Boys on the Full Send podcast. That YouTube just took it down because Trump was talking about the things he always talks about, which personally I think he should be allowed to talk about. Because this is streaming on YouTube right now, I can't talk about that. But we all know what I'm talking about, what Trump was talking about. We all know. You can't even just describe an event accurately. I mean, just to add context. So if you're talking about a video being removed by YouTube for something that Trump said, you should be able to add that context. This is what he believes. And that's not making... I mean, I have my own beliefs on that, right? But I didn't go into that. I just said, this is what he thinks. And apparently, just saying something that everybody knows already is verboten. What is the point of this? What is the point of basically just intimidating creators? Well, that is the point. Intimidating creators. Intimidating people, journalists, whoever. You can't say it. You're not allowed to think anymore. You're not allowed to even think it. We're very much in 1984 territory here. You have to censor yourself before you can even think something. It's quite frustrating. What did they say to me? They said, our team has reviewed your content, and unfortunately, we think it violates our misinformation policy. Well, thanks for letting me know. What is your misinformation policy? Well, it's stuff you don't like, and it doesn't apply equally across the board to everybody, just certain people. We've removed the following content from YouTube. YouTube blasted for removing Trump podcast interview. Okay, well, thanks for letting me know. We know this might be disappointing. Yeah, it's more just enraging, really, but anyway. But it's important to us that YouTube is a safe place for all. Really, I'm so glad you're looking out for me, YouTube. It's so nice of you. So thoughtful. So thoughtful. It's so nice to know that YouTube really cares. They care about me personally. They care that YouTube is a safe place for me. I guess that's why they suppress my content so much, right? Or anybody who does anything like my content. You know, because I don't think they have enough purple-haired gremlins to actually monitor all the videos. They have an AI, right? They have an AI that they've spent $1 billion on that's able to pour through everything and find every little bit of dissent. It's like the ultimate Winston Smith from 1984. And this is all to make sure that YouTube is a safe place for all, right? So we can be comforted with that. If content breaks our rules, we remove it. Well, we know that you actually don't do that, though. You only do that sometimes in a certain direction. We all know this. We're aware of this. It's not a big secret. Let's see. If you think we've made a mistake, well, you have, actually. You can appeal and we'll take another look. Keep reading for more details. Yes, I did appeal. I have absolutely no hope of anything positive happening from that because it's YouTube, right? Why should I expect that? Hold on a second. I just got to do a little maintenance on the other side of the screen here. Yeah, everything actually looks good. Okay. We're all right. Where was I? Yeah, so I appealed. And they're going to take another look, and I have really no hope whatsoever in anything good coming from that. Who knows when I'll hear from the appeal? Video's down. It's been deleted from my channel. Do they re-upload it onto my channel? I doubt it very much. If the appeal goes in my favor, I doubt very much that they're just going to put it back up again for me. How my content violated the policy. Well, that's interesting. I would like to know that so I don't do it in the future. You know, I'm sure this is going to be really clear. Content that advances false claims that widespread fraud, errors, or glitches change the outcome of the U.S. 2020 presidential election is not allowed on YouTube. I did not advance those claims. Again, I have my own personal thoughts on that, right? Didn't get into it in this video. I just said, Trump said this, that's why they kicked the video off YouTube. That's just accurately reporting on something. Used to be called journalism, didn't it? So the false claim here is their claim that I violated their policy. I did not. I did not do that. I did not advance these claims of widespread fraud, errors, or glitches. Although you should be able to talk about it, should you not? I mean, it seems to be pretty important. I mean, it seemed like after 2016, there was an awful lot of talk about, well, Hillary Clinton said that Trump was illegitimate. Did she not? Has she been kicked off YouTube? Has she been banned from anything? Has she been banned for spreading misinformation? I mean, that's just the tip of the iceberg of the misinformation around 2016. She hasn't been, nobody's been kicked off for questioning that. It's just certain elections that you can't do it. And you obviously can guess which elections those are. Because big tech is our new rulers now. They're the kings. They're the emperors. I think they might be more powerful than the politicians at this point. I don't know. Does Mark Zuckerberg have his own personal army yet? Tanks and tech helicopters? Maybe he's got a couple of nukes. I don't know. I don't know about the people who run Google. Probably at some point in the future, because we are heading to a dystopia, after all. Those are the sorts of things you'd expect. How does this affect my channel? Because it's the first time, this is just a warning. Thanks, guys. Again, they're so generous. If it happens again, your channel will get a strike and you won't be able to do things like upload, post, or live stream for 1 week. So use YouTube. I won't be able to use YouTube for a week. I don't even really care that much at this point. You know, I've got way more subscribers on Rumble than I do on YouTube. And I mean, with YouTube, it's a snail's pace. I mean, anybody in my space that started up within the last couple of years, it's very, very tough. At least it has been for me. I've heard Tim Pool talking about that. He's saying, you know, if you're doing this kind of content, Go to Rumble, because YouTube, they do everything to try and prevent you from reaching a wider audience. They like Jimmy Kimmel and like Seth Meyers and CNN. That's what they like. That's what they want everybody to see. I guess because they want to drive everybody mad from boredom or rage. I don't know. Maybe both of those. What to do next? Make sure I understand YouTube's community guidelines. Nobody can understand. Well, actually, you can understand them. It's just don't say things we don't like. Don't make videos that go against their narrative. Don't make videos that are sympathetic to ideas that YouTube doesn't like. That's their rules, right? You can do anything if you like their narrative. You can say anything. We know this. Anyway, fuck YouTube, I guess, right? Maybe they'll take this stream down. I don't know. Is it even still running? I don't know. Let me know if you're in the comments. Let me know if you can still hear me. All right, what do we got next? I ranted about that for a while. Let's see. Yeah, I thought this was interesting. This is the Daily Wire. I'm a subscriber to the Daily Wire. I think it's fantastic. They seem to have a knack for finding the stories that interest me, and I use them a lot in my videos. If you watch a lot of my videos, you'll notice that. They're good, and I like what they stand for. They are branching out. Oh, there's the Hot Retarded Chicks. Yes, fuck YouTube. Yes, I agree with you, Hot Retarded Chicks. Best name on YouTube. Oh, I think I have to actually show that message. I think I have to press show. There we go. There we go. Now everybody can see it. Fuck YouTube. Exactly. Exactly. I can relate to that. Totally relate to that. But anyway, Daily Wire. Yeah, so they're branching out into entertainment. They're actually creating, they're the kind of the vanguard of creating culture that's not woke and terrible. Right? So they're doing a lot of things. I'm sure you saw the new razor company they're doing. The ad for that was pretty hilarious. But here's something else they're doing. Fight woke Disney. Okay. The world's premier family company wants to indoctrinate children. Yeah, they do. They genuinely seem to want to do that. They're going to fight against this. Hold on. I got to show another message here. There we go. It's Hot Retarded Chicks again. Fuck Disney. I agree. I couldn't agree more. So the world's premier family company wants to indoctrinate children. Yes, they do. They want to fight against a bill in Florida that they're calling Don't Say Gay, which is not the word gay isn't even in the bill. This is, I guess, I find it bizarre, actually, because they don't have to do that. I mean, the bill is popular in Florida. It's just a bill that says between, kindergarten and grade 3, you can't give instruction on basically gender theory. You can't talk about modern woke ideas about gender to little kids. And you can't do it secretly, which, I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? It's not a surprise parents are for this. Disney's a family company. It's supposed to be. I find it very strange. It seems to be that it's more pressure from that elite class, which the leaders of Disney have to live in, I guess. And I guess they, a lot of these people in these positions end up at the same dinner parties, I imagine, or I don't know. I guess it's a kind of a face thing, right? They have to, they're not interested in their customers. They're interested in themselves and their woke friends, and ultimately their woke ideology, because I did see that meeting that was leaked between some high up in Disney who is very, very committed to indoctrinating children into getting propaganda into their content. So that said, I think, Daily Wire is going to get into kids' content that's not going to be weird and creepy and try and confuse them and talk to them about 800 different genders that they might be. Because that seems really unnecessary, doesn't it? Doesn't it? In fact, nobody talked to me about gender at all when I was a little kid. And I think I probably would have been quite uncomfortable if they had. As far as I can remember, they just let us be kids and didn't try and confuse us into strange ideas. Not that trans people don't exist. It's just that there's very few people. You know, it's not... it doesn't seem to me that it's something that needs to be thrown into kindergarten classes. It seems like that may potentially do more harm than good. But that's just me. But here we are with the Daily Wire, kind of on the vanguard with some other people of creating some new culture. They are going to be creating non-woke entertainment for kids. So stuff that basically parents can be comfortable with. In the coming months, Daily Wire Kids is going all in on creating live action and animated shows. And they would love our help. Well, I'm already a subscriber to them, so maybe I need to subscribe more. But I support this. Because it does seem that the left is really hell-bent on propagandizing and indoctrinating kids into their weird ideologies. Which is disturbing. I mean, they're not hiding it. When you hear these teachers speaking, they always talk about their kids. They say, my kids is what they say. Well, they're not your kids. They're other people's kids. But they act as if those kids belong to them, as if those kids belong to the state. And because the foundation, the bedrock of all of this woke stuff is socialism, if not outright communism, that is the way they would see it. They would see all the children as being the property of the state as opposed to the parents. I think it's kind of fucked up, personally, and I don't like it. So I approve of the Daily Wire deciding they're going to create non-woke entertainment for kids that's not going to be confusing for them or fuck them up in any way. And that parents are not going to have to be paranoid about. So that's good. What do you guys think? Approve or disapprove? Do you think Daily Wire should stick out of it and leave it up to Disney? All right, let's move on. Oh, this is a classic. Catholic University speaker urges attendees to crucify whiteness and ethically lie. Ethically lie to right history's wrongs. Now, by ethically lie, I doubt it means, don't tell them that Anne Frank's up in the attic, when they come to the door. I don't think that's the ethical lying they're talking about. So you can't even go to a Catholic university now, a Catholic university, without having speakers telling you to crucify whiteness and ethically lie, to right history's wrongs. Of course, this will all be tied up with collective guilt, which I'm opposed to. I don't think it's that controversial to be against collective guilt. I mean, I don't know. There are things like, like Rwanda, for instance. There's the Holocaust and a Holodomor. I mean, it didn't go well for the kulaks, did it? There's the Armenian genocide. There's just a whole bunch of things in history that might suggest that collective guilt is the wrong way to go, that it always ends badly. that the people that engage with that are evil and have bad intent. But that's just me. Let's take a look. A Catholic university recently hosted an event titled Rejecting White Christianity. What? A Catholic university rejecting white Christianity. I mean, didn't the church used to be kind of like a good thing? Let's see. YouTube keeps hiding all of Hot Retarded Chick's comments on here. Let's take a look. I'm seeing a pattern here. It was first, fuck YouTube. Okay, I'm with you. Then it was fuck Disney. You know what? I'm with you there as well. And then fuck Catholic University. Okay. So the professor of social ethics wants to crucify whiteness, and he wants you to ethically lie. I don't even think it's like it's like 2% would consider using that. They think it's not totally abhorrent. And bullshit studies. How do these people, how do they have any position in life? It makes no sense to me. All right. Blah, blah, blah. This is in Denver. He's a professor at a school in Denver, Colorado. He began his presentation by lambasting evangelicals who voted for Donald Trump. Of course. When 8 out of 10 white evangelicals voted for a person who is completely against everything Christianity stands for, I don't know what Christianity they are practicing, but I want nothing to do with that Christianity. Do you mean the pro-life Christianity? Is that the Christianity you want no part of? I'm going to bet yes. So Trump was against, in his personal life, look, we know Trump was no angel, right? But his policies, I think, probably reflected a Christian view more than this De La Torre guy, I would say. Because he's talking about things like, he spoke of differences between white theology and ethics and Latinx ethics. Okay. Do these things actually even exist? Like, reportedly noting white doesn't refer to skin color. Oh, that's very helpful. But to an ontological concept. Those of us who are colored, some of us can also be white. You know what? I have to confess, I did a little bit of research on this guy. Just to find out who he really was. So let me just repeat that. He says, quote, those of us who are colored. I bet you he's really colored. I bet you he's so colored, it's more than colored. Let's take a look at this guy. There he is. Those of us who are colored. You know what he looks like? He looks like a European. He looks like he might just have Spanish heritage. You know where Spain is, right? Spain is in Europe. Look at how colored. You know, if he were any more colored, he'd be Italian. There's another. He's so. Wait a second. Is that Flavor Flav? Is that Flavor Flav? Or is that Miguel De La Torre? Let's see another picture of this guy. Look at how, I mean, it's, yeah. Let's go back. What did he say? He said, those of us who are colored. Oh, that's brilliant. Love it. But anyway, those of us who are colored, some of us can also be white. So colored people can also be white. I think he's white because he's white. That's my theory on it. My theory is that he's white because he's white. That must be controversial. But the good news is there is salvation. He reportedly said salvation means, quote, we who are colored have to crucify our colonized minds, and for our white brothers and sisters, They need to crucify their whiteness. I don't know. How retarded does this have to be? I mean, for one thing, what does any of this mean? It's nonsense. The second that you start to look into any of this studies stuff, you know, the complaining studies stuff, none of it is coherent in any way. It just feels like religion. I mean, I guess it's kind of apropos that he's doing this at a Catholic university, because this is religion. Have to crucify our colonized minds. And the white brothers and sisters need to crucify their whiteness. Now, I do believe what they're talking about with whiteness is they think that like capitalism is whiteness. So if you're okay with capitalism, then you're white. If you believe in things like merit, then that's whiteness, right? I guess that's how Larry Elder can be the black face of white supremacy, as I believe the LA Times called him. It's actually an extremely racist concept, right? Because if you're actually white, there's no way of actually not being white. You still have all the sins. You still have all the collective guilt. It's just that if there's somebody who's that would be considered not to be white, or he considers himself not to be white for some reason, but he can also be white if he has the wrong ideas, right? It's a really truly bizarre and fucked up and horrifying ideology. But anyway, yeah, so this guy's an idiot. Those of us who are colored, wait a second. All right, let's move on. What else have we got? Oh, yeah. This is, I don't know, another really stupid thing. Science students want offensive content like Dyke. Like Dyke dropped. Boy, those kids are getting touchy. What about Dick Van Dyke? Does he have to be removed from history? Do we need to get Winston Smith on that right away? Dick Van Dyke is offensive. It's got Dick and Dyke in his name. Maybe there's a trans angle there, so maybe that would make it good. I don't know. A Massachusetts college professor isn't surprised to see an increase in students showing ideological intolerance in the classroom. I keep hearing about this ideological intolerance in the classroom. Don't like the sounds of it at all. She noticed a marked increase in students asking for trigger warnings for offensive content, such as an older textbook using the word Indians instead of Native Americans. Well, I mean, that would be triggering, wouldn't it? Or the use of the word dyke in geology, not as a slur on lesbians. Now, I understand that geologists have always been very anti-lesbian. Very anti-lesbian. It's like half of what they do. It's half is geology. The other half is slurs on lesbians. And it's always been that way. But as a technical term, dike is a layer of rock cutting into another layer. Oh, I'm glad they cleared that up there. I assumed that geologists were talking about lesbians. You know, bull dykes. Bull dyke is my favorite slur, I think, because it is just so, what's the word? Juvenile. It's perfectly juvenile. I love it. Bull dyke. It's a real thing. So these students are asking for trigger warnings because they're not adults. They may actually technically be adults, but they're not adults. They're children. They've been coddled to the point where they just simply can't function with anything that would upset them in any way, even if there's no reason to be upset, even though an adult should be expected to deal with actual adversity as opposed to pretend adversity, like this, like hearing the word dyke. I guess this professor, her name is Maroja or Maroha, also wrote that some students in physiology refused to use the word woman and instead used person with a uterus. Well, she's a biology professor, so person with a uterus. Do these students ever feel absurd? Do they ever feel embarrassed? I wonder. Because at some point, you know, like we've all had something dumb that we've been doing, and then one day we just realized, oh, this is stupid. Why am I doing this? You know? I'm going to stop doing this. I wonder if they ever feel something like that. You know, when they say, you know, person with a uterus. When you're studying biology and for the millionth time you've said person with a uterus for some reason. I mean, isn't it offensive just to common sense? I mean, I really run out of ways to kind of describe my disappointment with the world. Person with a uterus. It's a woman. That's what it is. We've all gone mad. Students have also argued with her about IQ tests, which some say were invented to ostracize and marginalize minority. Of course, everything was invented for that, according to them. Everything was. Forks were, right? Forks were invented to oppress marginalized people. Shoes, math, the color blue, everything. Cereal. What hasn't been invented to ostracize and marginalize minority groups? Computers, glasses, cups, coffee, desks, pens, all of it. That's what these people believe. Because that their weird religion feeds on oppression and feeds on finding things to be offended by and to pretend are oppressing them. They just have to keep doing it. It's like a shark, you know. It can't stay still, or else it'll die. It has to keep moving. That's what this is. It's like the party in 1984. It just exists to propagate itself at this point. There's no grand goal at the end of it. It's just to continue. See, she dropped the aforementioned examples during a debate earlier this month in which she argued on whether politics belong in the laboratory after being asked about the rise of ideologically driven students' resistance to conversations on controversial topics in the classroom. And controversial is anything that they find triggering. So it could be literally anything. Oh, we've got a comment here on Rumble from Elise Wood. Dyke isn't a slur for lesbians. My buddy wrote a song called Hippies and Dykes back in the 80s. All my friends are hippies and dykes. That's a lyric of the song. Old school dykes are staying away from Woketopia. Yes, and they should. Old school dykes are staying away, and they should. They're right to do that. Hippies and dykes. I think I like the sounds of that song. Can you get it? Is it on the internet? Can you listen to it? Because I want to listen to it. All right. She revealed she isn't worried about the increase of those who take offense and chalks it up to raised awareness and the training workshops designed to prevent microaggressions. So yeah, microaggressions are things that are so small you can't even see them or know that they're there. You know that they're there because you're told that they're there. But you can't really tell that they're there because they don't exist. It's a part of the, again, this ravenous woke hunger for finding oppression, right? So you have to keep finding smaller and smaller things. All the overt things are gone, right? Like in terms of equality and all of that, the train hit the station a long time ago, right? But instead of stopping at the station, it kept going, and it barreled through, and it went off a cliff and crashed. So they need microaggressions because, again, the overt stuff is all, that's all gone now. So they have to keep finding smaller and smaller things until it's microscopic, until it's so small it may not be there at all. Let's see. Elise says it's probably on cassette somewhere. That's the Hippies and Dykes song. So I hope you find that and put it on the internet so I can listen to it. Thank you. Quote, this hyper-awareness of potentially offensive words leads to a snowball effect, where even minor things, such as using the term, you guys, or praising the English of an immigrant like me, are considered offensive. Yeah, isn't this a weird thing now? We're actually just, like, complimenting people is offensive now? Again, they have to find it somewhere. They can't be happy without it. It's like an obsession. It's like a ravenous hunger. You know what? They're like, I would say, like vampires. But maybe it's more like ticks. I don't know. But they feed off other people's misery. The misery they create when they are offended and complain about everything. Because that's not a nice world. Nobody wants to live like that. I mean, nobody wants to be... Do you like being around people who complain about everything? They're constantly looking for something that you've done wrong and everybody's done around you. Do you want to be followed around by some weird woke Nazi? Constantly looking for any kind of little crime that you've committed. Any heresy you've committed against their incredible oversensitivity. Nobody likes that. It's a good way to end up being lonely and alone and with no friends. And I guess maybe that's the preferable state for woke. I don't know. It's kind of sad when you think about the human wreckage this stuff is going to leave behind. These people that are unable to make long-term connections with people or have meaningful relationships because they drive everybody away because they're so awful. Perhaps some of these changes are positive, as she continued, as issuing caveats might actually improve understanding and prevent misconceptions. However, other changes are obviously negative, especially the increase in self-censorship that leads many professors to avoid topics that they consider dangerous. This trend should be a concern to all of us. Of course, I mean, you don't want to be putting out a generation or multiple generations of people who cannot keep their shit together. People are incapable of working positively with the people around them, of having positive relationships with the people around them. Because they're always offended by everything all the time. Or they just can't think rationally. I mean, microaggression, it's right in the name. Micro. It's something it's so small you don't even notice it. Unless somebody tells you, unless somebody makes you aware of it. Which would tend to lead you to think, well, maybe you shouldn't pay attention to it in the first place. But I got to tell you, I do worry about these generations coming up that are going to be extremely intolerant, extremely narcissistic, and apparently incapable of really doing anything positive, like to making a positive change around them in the old school way, before... I believe that a lot of these protests, like the BLM protests, all of these woke people that had their putting up the selfies on social media, they wouldn't have been there if it weren't for social media. If they couldn't post a selfie of themselves at the protest, they wouldn't have been there. Because why would you go? You can't post a selfie. They would have been, I don't know, hanging over a cliff or something. Or I don't know, where do people do selfies now? I guess they just do them everywhere, right? But people wouldn't go to protests if they couldn't if they couldn't post a selfie of themselves to prove they were there, to prove how virtuous they are. It's like the Ukraine flags everybody's got it. I mean, look, yeah, I don't think Ukraine. I'm against invading other countries, just in general, right? But you can't tell me all these people with although I think it's fading now, right? It's fading. It's had like 3 weeks, so now everybody's moving on to something else. But you can't tell me all these people that had the flags on their social media accounts that they knew anything about Ukraine or could have pointed it to it on a map or knew anything about the history, the complex history of that region. It's just the current thing that everybody has to support. Anyway, I got kind of lost there on my rant. So I don't know, how do we sum this up? Let's see. Science students are retards now, and they're offended by words like dyke, even when it's not used to describe Rosie O'Donnell. Let's see. We've got a professor of color who, I don't know, he doesn't look that much of color to me, but he's telling us that he is. And he's also telling people to crucify their whiteness and to ethically lie. Okay? I'm not going to do that. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sold. Daily Wire is going to produce kids content that's not going to be weird and creepy. And I'm for that. I support that. I subscribe to them, so I give them my money, and I'm happy about that. And also, YouTube is asshole. They removed my video. YouTube blasted for removing Trump podcast interview, which they removed because they're asshole. And I guess we'll see what happens. I'll let you know what happens when I get the verdict on the appeal back. I'm not holding out much hope. In fact, I expect that, because don't forget, the midterms are coming up, right? So anybody who's a step to the right of Karl Marx is in danger, anywhere in the world, is in danger of being canceled by YouTube. So I have lots of subscribers, lots more subscribers on Rumble. So if I'm ever just not on YouTube, just go to Rumble or Odyssey or BitChute. I'll be over there. Mines or Getter. I'll be there. Because, I've got one strike already. I think, how many do you get? I think you get 3 and then you're just off the platform. I think they're going to do another big purge as the midterms come up. So I would not be that surprised if I'm not on the platform for that much longer. Who knows? Anyway, I guess that's it. I'm kind of tired now. I might do this again next weekend. I had a good time. Probably. See you guys then. Good night.